Good evening. Ira Epstein of Linn & Associates with your SPDR ETF wrap-up for a pretty eventful Tuesday, and this is September 21st, 2021. Putting this out around 6:30 at night. What a day. Before I get too far, you're going to see an icon that's up here throughout this, and that is your invite icon to attend my live webinar. You have to sign up first, and you're sent an email. Via the email, your passcode's there. I will open up the live chart room tomorrow. That's Wednesday, September 22nd at 12:15 p.m. Chicago time. That is Central Time, Daylight Standard Time, Savings Time. I start at 12:30. I end promptly at 12:40. I do not record it to publish it on the website, and I'll take every question I can get my hands on in that time frame, okay? So we try to come up with ideas there. And if you take a look, it's just before. We're going to end just before the FOMC meeting, so we'll have a lot to talk about going into that. We get the statement at 1 o'clock from the FOMC tomorrow. 1:30 is the press conference, so the timing of this couldn't be better. All right, what do we have? We had an attempt today at a rally. I woke up this morning about 3:30. I'm looking at the markets, and that's Chicago time in the morning, and we're up 350, 400 points. Boy, there's a good rally going on. And it dawned on me, I said, I don't know if it's going to hold. It's a Tuesday. We should get a Tuesday attempt at a reversal. And for the record, you go look at how often the markets and all the indices were higher today. They spent the majority of the day up. By the end of the day, the pros put them back down. So the Tuesday reversal, did it fail? Not really, because most of the day you were up. Second, you didn't get a lot of follow-through to the downside. We know we have the FOMC meeting tomorrow, so what are the highlights? Well, the first one is going to be, will we get an answer on tapering? The market is built in. A November taper is going to be announced tomorrow. The disappointment will be if it's not. There will be a level of disappointment, not as much if it's December. But saying nothing about it, that'll be the worst thing for the market. The second thing that we have to look about is how much tapering. Over what period of time does this end? The third thing we have to look at are the dot plots. This is where we get one of the dot plot meetings. So we see, they don't never tell you which members thinking this or that, but you see where the thought processes are going for interest rates, when they begin, how many, and what year, blah, blah, blah. And the fourth thing we're going to be questioned on is inflation. What is transitory? What isn't? I don't expect Fed Chair Powell will change a thing about that. So that's the important thing. The last thing that is not on tomorrow's docket is there should be some questions of him. What happens if we don't get this budget going and the debt ceiling resolved? Do we not see Social Security checks go out? What goes on? That's really not for him to answer. It's for the Treasury Secretary in Congress, but it's likely that he'll be asked. Okay, so let's just go to ARK. Now, I want to get rid of ARK. I want to make it just one chart, and I'm going to replace it, and I don't know what with yet, but I'm going to do that. It's had its fun with me, but now it's time to move on. Kathy, I love you, but and I know your record over the years. Time to move to something else, though, for us. But in any case, you can see that the markets had some pressure. Where her problems came in was when China began all this crackdown, be it technology, Alibaba. It's like everything. If you're rich, they're cracking down. That's what they're doing. And this has been the problem. Now, how does China going to handle? And by the way, she has dumped a lot of the stocks in China that she had owned. She's also dumped a lot of Tesla. But when you look at that, so what is the big thing going on here? Well, tomorrow the big thing is, tonight actually, how is China going to handle this Evergrande issue that it's got? It's one of the largest property developers, $300 billion in all kinds of debt. I mean, trying to unwind that debt would take MIT grads. I don't know how you do something like that. And it's missing payments, and it has on Thursday another tranche. And then behind them, now the contagion is starting to move down, and bankers are going, well, maybe I don't want to be involved in that area. And of course, the government has said, don't loan to these people as much as you were. Something's got to give here, because I don't see them letting that down. Do you know how much property accounts for Chinese GDP? I think it's 20 some odd, 25%. So as we continue with ARK, and that's where we'll stay, higher high, lower low. There's no trend at work. The market support gave way, and when support gives way at a key average, it becomes resistance for a while as the market keeps testing it. And that's what's going on. If you can clear that, then 120.77, the 18-day average of closes, next resistance. There is no trend. The bias is down in the market, and the market keeps finding support at the lower Bollinger Band. Again, 95% of the time, the market's going to trade within Bollinger Bands. Take my enhanced Bollinger Band course on our website under education. I think you'll find it very interesting. You'll get a whole new education. It's like a master's degree in this. You learn how to use it on a daily basis. At least my concept. Oversold down into the support of a Bollinger Band, resistance 100-day average. Why waste your time? Apple. I finally read in the press today somebody that agreed with me. The strengths of the new Apple 13 are the camera and battery life. Everything else, no, it's not for the average guy. This wasn't the phone that addresses those issues. I was so happy to see that because up here I had said I was not pleased with that phone. Pave, what are you going to do? You can't even get a budget done. What are you going to do on infrastructure? In the toilet. That's what's going on here. This is your political bellwether. This is your canary. Pay attention to it. You want to keep watching this. That's the canary in the mine. What about XLI? Well, you made your first test yesterday and again of the 200-day moving average in the lower Bollinger Band. The market has now got an embedded reading. So the pros on rallies are probably going to continue to sell this short until you get a reading back over 21. When you get it, then I think you're going back up here. It'd almost be like a sign, let the relief valve go. We lost the embedded reading. We can get back up in the market. That's what I think. That's how I'm going to approach it. In the semiconductor, nothing can stay up in this type of market, so down you go. I just read GM thinks that the worst of the semiconductor shortage is over, that it's not going to get back to normal for a long time, but they can operate with what they had at a reduced pace, and that reduced pace should stay very steady. In other words, it's not going to drop lower. If anything, you'll get bumps to the upside. Good news. And while the semiconductors are getting hit, as everything is getting hit right now, there's so much demand for these, it's probably a good thing long term. Potex, you don't want to own pot. You'd like to smoke it, you don't want to own it, and it's just gone to hell, to put it mildly. Home builders, I liked the home builder numbers we had today, yet the market is coming down. We're seeing that the permits were up, the starts are up, the costs of building a home are shrinking a bit. However, that won't be passed on to you. That stays in the builder's pocket. Why? Because when he quotes a home to build you, he has a certain leeway in that, and otherwise he's eating those losses as lumber and other markets went up. When they come down, he gets to make that up on the guy behind you that's buying a home. Got what I'm saying? And he'll make the difference up there. That's how that all works. So you don't see that. But yes, they're under pressure right here. People are worried that interest rates are going to go up. Is this housing bubble over? And probably the most important thing with housing, it's not affordable. That's what's really turning out. It's easier to rent because you can't get that down payment. You may not qualify with the bank for the mortgage, but you can always pay rent. XLE, higher high, lower low, no trend, stuck in sideways action of the Bollinger Bands, emerging markets. Now I've gone to EEM. One of you wrote me, rather see that than what I was using, the EFA. I don't have a problem with that at all. So in looking at it for the first time, and this is our first time on this, if you see how the market was going, coming up, overbought, in an uptrend, gets into the area of the upper Bollinger Band, and here's the 100-day and the 200-day moving average. What do you think? I think the pros are doing at a number like that. I think they're coming out. Now we're waiting to see. Are you going to lose here? Did we embed? So both numbers are over 80. The day before, they're over 80, and the day before. It's all I care about. Lose it, and the first target's the 18-day average of closes. You lost it here. If you don't get it back the very next day right away, I think you're going back to this number. Bingo. And now you're getting the follow through. That's basically what's happened, and you're under the lower Bollinger Band. But there we go. Now, if you have more symbols you want, you can always put them on YouTube. They have to be big markets. I'm not interested in little markets that you're interested in and nobody else is. So it's got to have volume to it and so on. I'd love to switch these around. In GLD, this isn't bullish. You're getting a bounce. You're getting a bounce as the stock market fell apart. So what? That's not a bull chart. Can the market rally? Anything can happen, but it's got plenty of resistance, and as I said, it is not in a trend. When we take a look next at the gold miners, they're riding the lower Bollinger Band. Now, you had 3 days under them. To move the fourth day to the right-hand side, come on. It's classic. That's what you do. If you look at a Bollinger Band and you do a count, 5% of the time the market will stay out of the band. If you take that in consecutive manner, which I do, if you get 3 in a row, you got a 2% chance coming into a day like today that the market will stay under that, a 98% chance it's going to go to the right-hand side. Think of it as card counting. And boom, that's what the market just did there, and away you go. TLT, market's up in the stratosphere, but how do we know what's going to happen with the Fed tomorrow? So, nice, but I think the pros have cashed in. Past tense, here and here, I think they're gone. I think if they hold the position, it's much smaller than you think. Last in the euro, down into the lower Bollinger Band, holding up fine. Question on this. When's the last time we saw France walk out as the President of the United States spoke at the UN? And guess what? I don't think the French were so wrong. I think we treated them terrible. We could have brought them into the submarine contract, I think, in some manner. You know, I'm a businessman, and I've learned you want to keep your allies close to you. You might have to do what's called dirty business, get them involved in some manner. That's what I would have done. But I'm not president, and I never will be. Okay, looking for trade ideas? Well, that's what I try to give you first thing in the morning. I'll start you off in futures. So you get a feel for where these ETFs and spiders might be headed before the opening. And then with that, start coming up with ideas. What is the reports of the day? What's happened in Asia so far? In Europe? From there, we're looking at what the markets are doing in the metals, the interest rates, the currencies, and of course, the stock indices. You get that all. I'm going to give you trade recommendations, ideas where I'm right, where I'm wrong, what you should be doing, strategies to play with that from, and that's in the futures. But I'm going to do the same thing for you at 9 in the morning when I start recording on the spiders and ETFs. Now they're open. We typically have all the government reports, most of them by 9 o'clock in the morning, Chicago time. So now I can show you what really came out with it, how the market's going to react, and you got the whole trading day in front of you. I think that's sort of fun. How do you get this? Go to our website. Under the bottom right, it's called our offers, or you can go www.iraepstein.com under research. Everything you need is there. Remember, you saw this icon all this show? Click on it if you want to attend tomorrow's webinar. It should be a lot of fun. There's so much going on. Take care.